Welcome everybody. Today we're going to look at the KA-50 weapons employment. We're going to start off with the Vikhrs. There are 12 of these that you can mount on the outer pylons of the KA-50. These are laser-guided beam riding weapons. So the laser has to stay on the target until the weapon hits. Basically, there are 6 of these on each side. And before we get started, though, we need to have some buttons set that we have to use while firing these. You can have these as the keyboard shortcuts, or you can assign them to your HOTAS. I would recommend assigning them somewhere so you don't have to look around at the keyboard. You could be looking around enough as it is. So to the adjust controls, I'm not going to do these in any order, but there aren't that many. So we need a weapon release button. We need a trimmer button. A hover on and off button. And a uncage, shval, and designate target button. Now, in order to manipulate the screen, we need the KU-31 shval slew up, down, left, and right. And we need on the target, on the center of the screen, which is where we're mostly going to be focused, or if not always, we need to be able to increase the size of the target frame and decrease it. And then we need to be able to make the screen wide and narrow view. So narrow view is zoom in. Lastly, we need a weapon lock button. Now, to manipulate the weapons on each individual pylon, we'll be going through these again later. You need a weapon selection for the outward stations, the inward stations, and all of the stations, depending on what weapons you're going to be using. I think that is it for the buttons. Also, control and enter to bring up the display that lets you know what your controls are doing. Show controls indicator, it is called. Right control and enter is the normal shortcut for that. Okay, so first of all, we need to be in a stable hover. We have got targets that are 7-ish kilometers away. The limit for these weapons with using the automatic system is 7.2 kilometers on a clear day. Or it's raining a bit here, but it should still be okay for clear day. Anything further than that, and you'll need to take off some of the computer help so that you can release them manually. They may or may not make it to the target. You can probably squeeze another kilometer or 2 out of these missiles if you're high enough. At 500 meters, we're high enough for a tiny bit further, another 100 or so meters, which can make all the difference. You don't want to get shot by something you're getting too close to. The closest you can fire these, I believe, is 1.2 kilometers, and after that, the computer says no more, because it doesn't have time to lock up the target. Okay, so we're in a stable hover, hopefully. Kind of. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we need to switch our systems on. As I said, our targets are down the road, 7 kilometers or so. We need auto turn on target. Zoom in here for you. Moving round target. The helmet mounted display on. The laser on. Now that you see we've got this reticule in our headset, look at the target, which is again down over on the tarmac down there. Uncaged shval. The heads-up display will move its targeting reticule to where you were looking, and the TV will come on, and you can see on our TV screen down there we've got a whole bunch of targets. Now we need to switch our master arm on the front dash here, and now we're assuming that all your other controls are on and you can at least get the helicopter into a stable hover, but this is the other weapon system button here. It should be on when you start up the helicopter. Alright, so master arms on, we're pretty much ready to go. Now you may not be able to see here the target in the middle, but remember I said there was a frame in the middle of the TV screen. You can make that bigger or smaller. What we want to do is have it the same size as our target. You can get mods that will make this brighter or darker depending on what you need. But there it is for you. But it's always in the center of the screen, so even if you can't see it, get the center of the screen to where you want the missile to go. Okay, so we'll find our target there. Nice close tank, or the closest tank. Now it's a little bit small in the frame, so we go to narrow view. There we go, that's a lot easier to see. I kind of aim for the turret if I can. Now we'll go through the symbology as we come to it. We press our lock button. Now what we have here, just above the center of the screen, is TA, which means we've locked a target. This is contrast based, just so you know. So if it's very dark, the computer won't work at all. Then at the bottom of the screen, it tells us the distance from the target. Now we do need the laser on for this distance to pop up. 7.1 kilometers, well within the range of our missile. Now we choose our outside pylons with our previously selected buttons, and there we go, 12 rockets remaining. Because we've already locked up our target, we get this little C just above the distance, which is our launch authority. The dashboard, the HUD is in Russian. There's nothing we can do about that. It's just in Russian. Learn what the symbols are. Okay, now we've got new symbology on the HUD. If I turn the weapons off, you can see that's our where our Shval is looking. That small circle. There, it's looking directly at the tank, and we are still locked on by the TA. You can see there. We turn our weapons on, and that was the weapons actually moving on the pylons, because they're bore sighted normally, but they will point down quite some, probably about 30 degrees or so. Now, out of those two large circles, the inner of those large circles is just for the weapons themselves. The outer one is for the laser, and it gives us our maximum and minimum range. At the 8 o'clock position, the outer circle that is touching the little pip that's popping out of the inner circle, we cannot go further than that with the automatic system. It won't let us. And I believe the little nodule, whatever you want to call it, at the 1 o'clock position is our minimum range. After that, you'll get all sorts of X's on the screen telling you can't fire. You shouldn't be firing that close anyway, because you're probably dead. Now, for the automatic system to work, the locked target has to be in the center of the big circle. So if we move out just a bit with the rudders here, forcing against our moving ground on target, the C disappears. You do not have launch authority, the weapons won't fire. Doesn't matter how hard you press the button. So we may need to use the rudder, because now just because the camera's looking directly out the center of the helicopter, the helicopter will choose a weapon from the left side or the right side, depending. It does it in order. But so you may need to, just with the rudder, move the helicopter around so the right bank of weapons are pointing at the target. Now you'll see the difference that makes in a moment once we've fired the first one. So we've got our launch authority. What are we waiting for? So press your weapon release button, rifle, out goes the Vikhrs. See the smoke trail from it there. And the smoke is blocking up the TV screen, but it will clear in a moment. And if we look nice and close at the TV screen, it takes a few seconds to get there. Blam! Hits the target, everybody else moves away and gives us all sorts of trouble. Okay, it's not dead yet, because we're still locked on, but there he goes, bang, and then the TA disappears. You get that little Russian N for a second, and now you can move your Shval again. Okay, so these guys have all taken a runner. We'll do that one more time just to prove it's not a fluke. So center on your target, center of the TV screen on the target. I can see the little box, I hope you can too. Press the lock button. We are at 7.2 kilometers, like the maximum distance. We see a countdown appear on the left-hand side there. That's the laser cooling down. The further you make the laser go, the longer it takes to cool down. You must let that cool down first, otherwise your laser will burn out before you have finished your sortie. The only way of repairing that is to go back and get a repair at a FARP or an airport. So now you see, even though we're pointing at our target and the helicopter has moved itself so we're centered on the target, it's now our right-hand bank of weapons that are going to be used. So we need to swing left a little bit. So we're all centered up. We're using the rudder for this. There's our launch authority. The C's popped up. Let's move out of it just to show. Let's go back. There's our C. Try and keep it there. And rifle. Bang. He's on fire. And he should explode. He's burning enough for it to... It normally only takes 1 missile for a tank. Sometimes 2, depends how tough they are. If you hit them in the front, it might not do as much damage because they've got a lot of armor. But he will explode. While he's still on fire, we remain locked up on him. We could give him another shot, but he's going to burst into flames. If you want to move your target from something and you know he's dead already, you can hold your lock button down and move the reticle manually. Okay, now, I'm still holding the lock button down, moving my target about. If I put my target on something else and let go of the lock button, oh, nothing happens. Sometimes it all falls apart and goes wrong, such as our KA-50. But we can relock our target. There's a new one. Okay, now he is... I think he's within range, 7.2. We want one that's out of range. Just a little further. 7.3. Okay. So, too far. We will not get the launch authority. Now, in this case, we know it's going to get there. We let our laser cool down. Oh, well, are we moving forward slightly? Maybe. Let's go for one that's even further away then. There we go. 7.3. Okay, it is too far. We'll let our laser cool down. Now, we've still got our circle. We know it's going to get there. So, down here, underneath the master arm, there's an automatic or manual weapon system control. It's on automatic by default. Flick it up to manual, left click, and now we get our launch authority. It says, yep, you can fire your weapon. Might make it, might not. But we think it's going to make it, so we'll give it a go. Rifle. Okay, and now you notice the cooldown on the laser. Can't fire again. Here's our target. He's about to explode. And boom, we got him anyway. There we go. So that is the Vikhrs. I don't think I missed anything. If I have, I'll probably do another video. But for that one, I hope that helps. We'll see. Cheers.